Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and Spider-Man No Way Home burst the Marvel multiverse wide open, but you know what? Not wide enough. Because despite Green Goblin blowing up that McKenna to crack purple reality rifts in the sky, nearly inviting hundreds of awesome multi-dimensional cameos in the MCU, Doctor Strange and Peter Parker just had to slam the door in all of their faces. Don't they know that we have an open door policy in this House of M? At least to everyone not named Ralph Boner, because we already have one. I have seen No Way Home 5 times in IMAX, and still, trying to make out every single one of those glowing silhouettes is tough.
Who's that Pokemon?
Shocker?
It's Pikachu! Oh,
However, I could actually make out quite a few of these. Several more than I initially spotted in my big ol' Easter egg breakdown. Wait a minute, 10 million views? Holy Scooby-Doo shit, thanks everybody! But let's break down the new cameos I found and what that tells us about the plans to introduce these characters in future films. And before we begin, thanks to Truebill for sponsoring today's video, more about them later. So when the rifts crumble across the sky around Liberty Island, from the other side of those cracks appear countless glowing shapes, most of them no bigger than stars, but you can start to make out their shapes in 3 to 4 shots of this film. First, when the 3 Peters look up at the sky, Tobey Maguire Peter thinks he's dying and sees people in the sky, and then we first see a wider shot showing several characters in that rift, then we punch in closer on a few of them. And then, a moment later, Tom Holland Peter swings up to Doctor Strange atop the Statue of Liberty, where there is another wide shot, and then one final punch in closer on a few more characters. The most prominent among all of these is a figure holding a spear with thick shoulders. This is Kraven the Hunter, the Spider-Man villain that the No Way Home screenwriters actually initially cited as a villain of interest for this third film when they were writing it, but in the months since, cast by Sony as MCU Pietro Maximoff actor Aaron Taylor Johnson for an upcoming solo film. Most likely going to be based on the amazing Kraven's Last Hunt comic. I think we can expect Kraven to take place in that Sony villain-dominated side universe of Venom and Morbius. Morbius, a movie that was just delayed from January to April, perhaps to give them time to include a cameo by Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, since that Morbius trailer did show the Garfield continuity Oscorp Tower and graffiti of Spider-Man as a murderer, and Andrew Garfield Peter mentioned falling into a violent streak in his timeline. Then again, Morbius will also feature the MCU, Michael Keaton, Vulture. I don't know, maybe that was a sloppy spill from this reality into that one when all those rifts were happening, or maybe just another confusing example of some variants looking like the same actors across different realities, as we saw with J.K. Simmons, J. Jonah Jameson. I don't know, we will know in April. But if you look right to Kraven's right, there is a figure on all fours with a curved tail. This is Spidey villain, the Scorpion. Now, I'm not sure if this is a Matt Gargan Scorpion played by Michael Mando in Spider-Man Homecoming, whom I presume would have a more tech-heavy mechanized suit the way Michael Keaton's Vulture did in that movie. This looks more like the comic-accurate Scorpion, who often goes on all fours. To Scorpion's right is a more slender figure that actually matches the shape of Black Cat, Felicia Hardy, another title Sony has had in the works for a solo film for quite some time. We actually saw Felicia played by Felicity Jones in the 2014 Andrew Garfield Amazing Spider-Man 2. But if you go back over to the left of Kraven is a smaller figure with 4 extended arms coming out from the back who aggressively jerks its head to the side. On first glance, this kind of looks like Carnage, who does extend tentacles from his symbiote anatomy, but it also kind of looks a bit like the Spider-Man doppelganger form created during the Infinity Gauntlet storyline, who goes on to join Carnage and Shriek in Maximum Carnage. But ultimately, I think this is most likely the superior Spider-Man incarnation in which Otto Octavius swaps his consciousness into Spider-Man's body and operates a suit with Iron Spider-esque arms. It's actually a pretty great storyline that takes place in the 616 continuity. So with the new year upon us, lots of us are gonna try to get our finances in order. Our money should be as well organized as those Funko Pops on the bookshelf, and those bad boys are lined up by genre, age, and color scheme. Our friends at Truebill are here to help put some order into the disordered finances of our lives and to set you up for a good 2022. Truebill is an all-in-one finance platform that helps you save more money and spend less. The personal finance manager allows you to manage subscriptions, lower bills, monitor your credit score, and build your savings all in one place. I really like how easy Truebill makes it to safely and securely identify recurring charges and cancel the unwanted subscriptions with just a tap. Bye-bye, Cheese of the Month Club. Sayonara, second Hulu account that I didn't realize that I had. Truebill helps set budgets and automatically monitor your spending by category. Get friendly notifications when when you've exceeded your budget, and visualize your spend to earn ratio over time. Get started with Truebill today by heading over to truebill.com/newrockstars or by clicking that link in the video description. That's truebill.com/newrockstars. But the second shot of the rift shows a silhouette that you probably caught, a bulky figure turning a head with a prominent horn. This is, of course, Rhino, and actually maybe a more comic accurate version of the character than the Paul Giamatti, Alexei Sistovich that Andrew Garfield Peter mentioned fighting back in that 2014 film. But then to the right of the Rhino is a harder to pin down, slender figure. This person has a rounded head that many have described as Mysterio's fishbowl helmet, but seeing still images doesn't really do these justice. You really have to see them in motion, and to me, it's really the way this figure steps so timidly toward the rift with some adolescent awkwardness. Really, I think this is either Gwen Stacy, Spider-Gwen, or Miles Morales, both of whom have slender builds and rounded heads shaped by their masks. Considering the other silhouettes placed prominently toward the front are all big names that Sony has in active development, I think Electro and Andrew Garfield Peter's discussion about a black Spider-Man somewhere out there points to this being a Miles Morales from another universe. Now, of course, there is a Miles Morales in the MCU mentioned by his uncle Aaron Davis in a scene in Homecoming when he said he had a nephew in the area, and then in a related deleted scene when he called Miles by name. But in this case, this could be a live-action universe where Miles is already Spider-Man. Now, there are some other silhouettes in the periphery that are a lot harder to define, and we probably won't know for sure until No Way Home comes out on 4K, but you can begin to discern some shapes. For example, in the shot of the Rhino to the left, there is a character walking leftward across the frame who has a shape protruding from his head, looking a bit like Loki's curved horn headpiece. Sure, while Loki is an MCU property, not a Sony one, this whole sequence was brought about by Doctor Strange's multiverse magic, and I would not be surprised if the movie's artists mixed some MCU characters along with their Sony ones. And that Loki series introduced us to countless Loki variants, at least one of whom must have known that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And that walking figure passes another character that strikes a familiar pose while aiming a weapon. Almost looks like a bow and arrow. We could be looking at a variant of Hawkeye, or Kate Bishop, or Taskmaster, or Bullseye. But I don't know, striking that pose, it also almost looks like an Iron Man variant extending his repulsor arm. But the shape I was most interested to spot is visible only when the Peters first look up at that Craven rift. The brightest figure on the far left of that lineup, which looks like a slender, seated figure with a number of arms twisting out from its center and an interesting hairdo coming out from the top of the head. This could be Madam Web, Cassandra Webb, a psychic mutant who sits at the center of the web of life and destiny that bridges all the Spider-Verses together. As we expand further and further into a live-action Spider-Verse, Madam Web would be the figure you would see peering out from an interdimensional rift like this. And with that little mysterious moment of Peter's spider sense able to bypass the magic of Doctor Strange as Peter was in his astral form, I think that's a little indicator that all Peters could share a cosmic arachno frequency that stems from Madam Web. And this silhouette's position in the front of the line leads me to suspect this could be her. And if those rumors speculating that Sam Raimi directing Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness could be a way we get Tobey Maguire Peter Parker to come back for that multiverse event, I hope coming along with him through that multiverse is his psychic mutant mama. You can support New Rockstars by checking out our merch options at newrockstarsmerch.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EA Voss. Follow New Rockstars. Subscribe to New Rockstars for more analysis of everything Marvel. Thank you for watching. Bye.
Whatever you may, you wait, mate. You know what you wait, it won't get it up, wait.